Hello sweethearts, my name is Martha Thompson and I'm 65 years old. I've been married to Robert for 40 wonderful years, but this story isn't about us. It's about something that happened with my two daughters that changed everything in our family forever. Sometimes being a good mother means making the hardest choice of your life, and that Sunday dinner will be burned into my memory until my dying day. Before I tell you how one sentence made my entire family see the truth, please let me know in the comments where you're watching from today. And if you've ever felt caught between two children you love equally, hit that subscribe button because you'll understand every word I'm about to say. I raised two beautiful girls, Emma, who's now 35, and my youngest Sarah, who just turned 32. From the time they were little, these girls were like night and day. Emma was always the responsible one, getting good grades, helping around the house without being asked. Sarah was my social butterfly, always making friends, joining every school club, lighting up every room she walked into. Robert, my husband, always had a soft spot for Sarah. I think it's because she reminded him of his own sister who passed away young. But sometimes that soft spot became a blind spot. When Emma worked 3 jobs to pay for college, Robert would say, "That's just how Emma is. She likes to work." But when Sarah needed help with her car payment or rent, suddenly it became, "Family takes care of family, Martha." The real trouble started 5 years ago when Sarah got divorced. Her husband left her with nothing but debt and a broken heart. She moved back in with us temporarily, which I was happy to do. But temporary became permanent, and permanent became comfortable for everyone except Emma. You see, what Robert didn't know, what nobody knew, was that Emma had been quietly helping Sarah in ways that would shock you. Every month for 3 years, Emma had been sending Sarah money for everything from groceries to her phone bill. Not because Sarah asked directly, but because Sarah would call crying about how hard things were, and Emma's big heart couldn't say no. The Sunday that changed everything started like any other. Robert had invited Emma and her husband David over for our weekly family dinner. Sarah was there too, of course, since she still lived in our guest room. We were all sitting around the dining table, talking about normal family stuff, when Sarah mentioned she was thinking about taking a vacation to Florida with her friends. "That sounds wonderful, honey," Robert said, beaming at Sarah. "You deserve some fun after everything you've been through." Emma looked up from her plate with a strange expression. "A vacation? That's nice, Sarah. How are you paying for it?" Sarah waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, I've been saving up. I found some great deals online." That's when Robert made the comment that started everything. He looked at Emma and said, "You should learn from your sister, Emma. Sarah knows how to enjoy life. You're always so serious, so focused on work and money. You're becoming selfish. Not like your sister at all." The room went quiet. David, Emma's husband, put down his fork. Sarah suddenly became very interested in her mashed potatoes. And Emma just sat there for a moment, staring at her father. Then she smiled. Not a happy smile, but the kind of smile that comes before a storm. "You're right, Dad," Emma said softly. "I am selfish. I've been thinking only about myself for way too long." Robert nodded, thinking he'd made his point. "Exactly. Your sister understands that family comes first." Emma's smile grew wider. "Well then, I'm glad you feel that way. Because I'm done being selfish. I'm done paying Sarah's car insurance. I'm done covering her credit card payments. I'm done sending her grocery money every month. And I'm definitely done paying half her rent since she moved back in here." The silence that followed was so complete, I could hear the kitchen clock ticking from the next room. Robert's face went white. "What are you talking about?" Sarah dropped her fork with a clatter. "Emma, please don't." But Emma wasn't finished. She pulled out her phone and started reading. See. March, $400 for Sarah's car repair. April, $300 for her dental work. May, $250 for her phone and insurance. Should I keep going, Dad? Because I have 3 years of this. I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. My own daughter had been struggling to help her sister, and I had no idea. But Robert looked like he was seeing Sarah for the first time. "Sarah," he said slowly. Is this true? Sarah's eyes filled with tears, the same tears that had worked on all of us for so many years. It's not like that, Daddy. Emma offered to help. I never asked her to. You called me crying every single month, Emma interrupted. You said you didn't know how you'd make ends meet. You said you felt like a failure. What was I supposed to do? Let my little sister suffer? The truth hit me like a truck. Sarah hadn't been saving for any vacation. Emma had been her savings account. And while Robert praised Sarah for being the good daughter who knew how to live life, Emma had been quietly sacrificing her own dreams to keep her sister afloat. Robert turned to me, confusion written all over his face. Martha, did you know about this? I shook my head, feeling ashamed that I hadn't seen what was right in front of me. No, Robert. I had no idea. Emma stood up from the table, her dinner barely touched. I've been trying to save for a down payment on a house for David and me for 4 years now. Do you know why we're still renting, Dad? Because every month, I choose Sarah's comfort over my own future. David reached for his wife's hand. I could see he'd known about this, had probably watched Emma stress about it for years. But honey, Robert stammered, if you were having trouble with money, you should have come to us. Emma laughed, but there was no humor in it. And listened to more lectures about how I need to be more like Sarah, how I'm too focused on material things. No thank you. She picked up her purse and looked at each of us. Sarah, you have 30 days to figure out your finances. I love you, but I'm done enabling you. And Dad. She turned to Robert with tears in her eyes. Maybe next time you'll think before you call your hardest working daughter selfish. The front door closed behind Emma and David with a soft click that sounded like a gunshot in the silence. Sarah burst into tears, real ones this time. What am I going to do? I can't afford everything without Emma's help. But Robert wasn't looking at Sarah anymore. He was staring at the door Emma had just walked through, finally understanding what his favoritism had cost us all. That night, after Sarah went to bed, Robert and I had the hardest conversation of our marriage. We talked about how we'd failed Emma, how we'd enabled Sarah, and how close we'd come to losing one daughter while spoiling the other. The next morning, Robert called Emma. I listened from the kitchen as he apologized, really apologized, for the first time in years. He admitted he'd been unfair, that he'd taken Emma's strength for granted while babying Sarah's weaknesses. It took months to rebuild what we'd broken. Sarah had to learn to stand on her own feet, which was harder than any of us expected. She eventually moved out, got a full-time job, and slowly started paying Emma back. Not just the money, but the respect and gratitude she should have shown all along. Emma forgave us because that's who she is. But things are different now. Better but different. Robert treats both girls equally, and Sarah has learned the value of taking care of herself. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is stop rescuing them. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is speak the truth, even when it makes everyone uncomfortable. Looking back, I'm grateful Emma found her voice that Sunday. Her courage to stand up for herself taught us all what real love looks like. Not enabling someone's problems, but believing they're strong enough to solve them. Family isn't about who you help the most. It's about who you believe in enough to let them help themselves. Have you ever had to make a choice between keeping peace and speaking truth in your family? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. And if this story touched your heart, please subscribe to Granny's Voice and share your own experiences with family challenges. Sometimes knowing we're not alone makes all the difference in the world. Remember, sweethearts, setting boundaries isn't being mean, it's being honest. And honest love is the only kind that lasts.